Have you noticed there are a lot of people on here who just started transition and are documenting it? I tell you how huge that is for somebody like me who transitioned almost 45 years ago to see all of them. What a valuable resource they're providing for the trans community. Whenever I see one of them complaining about how painful electrolysis is or screaming about how painful their hormone shot is, I chuckle. I've always had a pretty good pain tolerance, but when I started to transition, my pain tolerance became incredible because the amount of pain that was associated with transition was incredible. Starting from 1981 all the way until maybe 2010, 2011, I used an 8-gauge needle. Talk about long and thick. When I started electrolysis, there was no such thing as facial numbing cream. When it did finally become available, I didn't want to use it. I didn't really need it. I didn't feel the pain of electrolysis anymore. Doctors like Felix Schiffman, who knew they were the one of 3 doctors in New York who were working on us, considered that they were doing us a favor and didn't want to hear a single word about pain. I've already told you the story that when one of my implants got infected, I went to Schiffman to have him clean it, and he did the surgery with no anesthesia. Wide awake, he only gave me a local and put the surgical tray over my face while he did what he had to do. I know that sounds shocking now, but at the time, it was commonplace. In my life, there's been 1 or 2 things that were more painful than getting silicone with Joanne, but certainly that's up there. Before you climbed on the table in Joanne's living room where she was going to inject you, she marked you first and she'd say to you, you know, this is very painful. Not only was getting pumped a super painful experience, it was one of those weird experiences. You didn't really know what you were feeling. Joanne would say, and away we go. And for the next 35 minutes, you were going to be in agony, hearing the craziest sounds. You felt this huge needle go in you. You felt this thing that burned as it goes in, her wiping. You look over and it's like half blood, half not. Freaky. The thing about silicone is that although it's really painful the first time, every time you go back, it's more painful. The holes from the needle are so big that she would close them with crazy glue. And then she would spray this spray glue all over you and stick big cotton pads all over both sides of your body. At the end of the procedure, you would put on a pair of very tight cut-off pantyhose and you'd have to sleep in them for 1 night. And that morning, after being harpooned just the day before, in the shower, you'd use a loofah to scrape it all off. And it didn't come off easily. You'd scrape and scrape and scrape until it was all off. Then every day, you'd have to use a rolling pin and roll it out. If you asked her, she'd say ideally you would do it every day for the rest of your life. After my 6th or 7th treatment with her, using the rolling pin caused so much pain, the only way I could describe it was exquisite. It was like otherworldly, really. I don't know that anyone expected that when you got old, you couldn't lay on your side because of it. I have friends who can't lay on their side because the silicone has gotten so hard that they can't get it out and they can't lay down on either side. They have to lay straight back if they want to sleep. I'm very fortunate not to have started to experience any of that yet. Sticking a tiny needle in your abdomen would seem like a walk in the park to my generation. Transition from beginning to end is a lot of things, and one of them is painful. I like to end any video I make that talks about silicone with don't get any silicone. You compare risk to reward, it's not worth it. Go from loving the results to living like you've got a time bomb in your body. Trust me, if the girls you're watching today who are complaining about everything are still on here a couple of years from now, they're never going to complain about pain then. You'll see.